tathagata mahapan ayujana mahapuyate dava amane pimeho Sherapazameta Shendaya Sova Sova Malama Pantam Sarva Tathagata Mahapenza Ayujana Mahapuya Tito
Corona Maraji de on home. Young Sanang in a quarter was a good job got hope. Or Salan Sama quarter. Oh, the kid doubling got quarter. Then she loved the thing in young. Then I didn't jump and say young, 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 or a Kachikan Jabayan that the Tankana in Lala Trasong, the little metal. May hold their dead in Tongo on Mary. The Wuji Javian did and say with you, shut their alcohol worry. They say Jalan Tanjati, Kana Yoga, Lama Givichini, Pena, Kimbo Patona, Java Tamchi Gilberta. These are the poor Managan Nanga, Sess2 Yachinas, or Desachebo, Desaka. This is around give the Taja fire, Desachebo, Gini, Desamchi, and Givichi. Zachimbo, most of Java young lady, Sölkha young lady. Then now the young Kaza and the Julia. Oh, that was some kind. My tablet of what you go to such a new unit. The Tabachi doctor, the Lama in New York. The young, young, the district young boy, you is something, sharp theatre young boy, sharp tailor in some tailor, Javachimbo, Dandy. Gatari, Dadi, Tinjalan, Dadi Shokchebo Yungori, Dadi Chitabi, Dogi and the Manato, Dogi or Rashi Jaya, that you know, Yibi Lord, Shago, Yiduke, Kaletata, but the Zupa Haradas and Matero, the Tesabji, Dona Chitan, Jeti, Kanka Sonajang, the 17 times people that are Kati. No long to go donate, simply something Robagia, three Jacob people hard away, Tesabji, Kaji Tabi Chugum, Tata Kong, Desaka, Tata Ben, Lana, Roma to take lottery, to let them go to him as the only something. This something in non young little, Jim Ping, Lord, the shock shed of them, or these same young or is. Dzambhala meva sarida, yina nuba khona, tiri daso wachine, tiri rang rashi ja, pa mese, tata roda sari, te sabje tan Dzambhala shok chungsungi chungri, kuso de kare ki shok tuza, dang zin de pakcha ngawan zaman de, shok chele, tiri te kidomne, tiri cha roda tu cha song, tiri te cha rong de, shok che song, tiri yang, mbele pakcha sabwara tiri tata rashi ja, yina nuba tanya, shok chimbo yungu yore, Dzambhala shok chungsungi, desi jo yodang de, leta pakcha loru pakcha, dasoro tari es, de sen jamyang de nang jamyang, sang jamyang de desi jo de samal yore, desi jo de Dzambhala re si, de Dzambhala de saji isbe bare si, desi jo de tisum je saji tamje, lam de de, de ba samje de, maang saji tamje de, jingang tam. 다도 사지에 담겨게 이제 봐서 문고네 되서 콜로섬 간이 사활레전 콜로 로바 모섬니전 콜로 로바 차상전 콜로 사활레전 콜로데 아직 뛴다 별로 가시게 주소장 칸발레 왜 가진지 손을 로다서 다세 너는 생기 삼제 핀바다 내 소 탐지들이 다 시합실에 시합대 잡아 영리지 하고 조레스
So welcome back, Dharma friends. So it seems that everyone outside and inside can hear me now, and also around the world. So we begin. So Manjushri has an outer and inner aspect. And so some, when they look at a tanka of Manjushri, they see this deity with a sword and a flower, and then they think that this is the Manjushri that needs to appear to me. But this is not how it is. But we need to understand the ultimate Manjushri, and that is the wisdom within your own mind. So the outer Manjushri manifests in different ways too. For example, as the various spiritual masters, the gurus in the world. For example, there was Khenpo Tsök, or His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and in many Tibetan Lamas, such as in the Sölkha monastery and Garchen, and the various holy monastic seats in Tibet, like Serache or the Drepung Geshes and so forth, and then also inside of Nepal and India and so on. So in any case, all of these are outer manifestations of Manjushri. But the inner Manjushri is within your own mind. For example, if you have the wish to receive the refuge vow, then that wish is your inner wisdom, or you want to listen to the sound of the Dharma. That is also a sign of your inner Manjushri. Because you possess Buddha nature, wisdom naturally arises. The wisdom of wanting to listen to the teachings, for example. And that is also connected to love, the mind of love. And what opposes this is the self-grasping mind. So someone who doesn't have a strong connection to their own Manjushri in their own mind have very strong self-grasping. And they experience a lot of suffering all the time and often even commit suicide. On the other hand, someone who is connected to their own Manjushri, who possesses wisdom is connected to altruism. So someone with wisdom will engage in actions that benefit others, and it does not create any difficulties for them. So they will do anything that brings benefit and happiness to sentient beings, whether in the Dharma or in a worldly sense. For example, there is some who spend their wealth to help others, such as building schools, hospitals, and so on. So benefiting others. And some also use their wisdom to benefit others through the Dharma, as we just mentioned before, these great masters, for example. For example, if you have one teacher who introduces like tens and thousands of students to the workings of karma, that is a sign of the inner Manjushri. So in brief, whoever possesses altruism possesses has a connection within one's mind to Manjushri. And so someone who is completely disconnected from Manjushri in their mind, they harm others in whichever way they can. They consider themselves as most important. And then they go around killing others, for example, in schools, and then often even commit suicide. So for them, Manjushri has become not very connected to their mind. So there's a very weak connection, because their self-grasping is so strong that their mind has become like an ice block. And that is also due to past karma, due to karma that is brought with them from previous lives. They, for example, commit suicide in this life, or they cause a lot of very powerful harm towards others. So even though they also possess Buddha nature, such actions are a sign that this nature is temporarily obscured by karmas and imprints. So these are the outer and the inner Manjushri. Then there's also a secret Manjushri, and that is the bodhicitta within your mind. and that the mind is a non-dual from yourself. So actually, it is Buddha nature that connects to bodhicitta. So through Buddha nature, through possessing Buddha nature, it shows you a path to the Buddhas of the three times. And it is actually that nature that all the Buddhas have relied upon. All the Buddhas of the three times. They have relied on this nature and this path. All the Buddhas of the past and all the Buddhas of the future, and also the present Buddhas who engage in three kinds of activities which are referred to as the three wheels. There's the wheel of hearing, the wheel of meditation, and the wheel of activity. For example, as you mentioned, there is many masters who start Dharma centers and monasteries and schools and so on. They engage in various activities with wisdom that bring about the benefit and happiness of others. And so all of these activities should be recognized as Manjushri's activities.
Jambiang Shirabram, there's a million, the road of choice and Taylor, so they got legendary in Saturday, just in Kashir, Nakata top of him and daughter, Sagori top of him and daughter, the young method not allowed to talk about. The roller, they don't have some your Tati, Jogatility, Shirabati, Shaggy, just in community, Semtiva Shimashi Conity, give a Rabjig Sakio, Theatre is our German Mangalva, the Yungiore. Just tower the sun, somebody here, just tower the sun, never tower Yungiore, the Nakab Jumdeshava Meba, these don't the hardcore Tokyo, this is a non-jubilee, this is a Tatanini, from the top gate town, the Chilu, so, but I'm doing on town and Chilu song. The courage in Yungori, that's so Rangi. Nang Jambi Yang in Nang Daba Shirati, Kiwa, Master the legendary Harpos in the Jumdera to the song of the Oh, they are a jokery, they are imitated David Joyoris. Domain said Joy, just a half person, Joy Horse on just a god, Joe, send the another. Metal was somewhat several than Carreri. Oh, that Dandy Dominicus are Dandy, Dandy and Yumo Jeris, Jim the Sabbath and Kashir top of me back in Jim law. That because it's a prima carried over some pins and justice. That's the little shabby, the little damn Joe, in some read the carrier top original. The paradox about only Dzambhala Tini law to top over it. Zobar didn't toss on both sailing both dogs about top over it. Oh, to some to the middle of the top over it. They come tourism will talk about the Jabba to Zobasan, and Ramji did that. Course, I wasn't Royori, Jabayan Yore, Tsök Yore, Zobayan Yore, Bill Marching Poche, Tapojanatella, Tando Song Tongori, Jamare, Zoba Gongol, Kani Kare, Unatel, Zoba Gongore, oh, Jimba, Certain Zoba, the Turita, Beba Kare, Tati Poeti to them, Beba, and Langamatati to them, Chedi Chede, Muggerta Moni. Simply in general, Chedi Chede makes the lot already. Yanati, people saw them, Yori, they're still in tourism with top of General Draw Tokuyori, the other top Joriji, Yontin Hammer, Kiva, Manange, Jimba, Chuchan Zoba, not someday, 9 years of zone, in David take at the time, David much of a Tokuyori, doubling the Sokochibo Yori, Jimmy Javeris, oh, doubling Milizamo, Nasamili Yori. Oh, there are them double calls about dogs, Rangi, Rang, Dongdima, Nasameba, Learn Nasameba, Sen of the member. This of you in a page of a Maki, tiny Masaban, and then Mabun subject to that day or this of the judge already, they were just Kashi Jawat of the Japan and say, oh, there are Joyores. Joe Colos of just Archibald, just 7 carrier. Several years, how you Shirabati. Giuderi Chichibotiano, three Chichi or Tay Shabri, Shabri Duregil, 3 Tiorki, Ceremony, 3 Tamdrum Milimochi, Tayuti, Tabdor, de Machego, Mare, Matatroni, Yam de Ore, Murdeji, Cateto, the Road of Cateto, they may catering something now at that time. 무슨 도와야 돼. 보통하게 다가 동행께는 보통은 무슨 재미있어. 용도 용지 머리. 냐와에 다시 봐 삼게 돼. 우리 무슨 동사를 데르티는 제 이시지 오델레가 라레레 레 속사도 레 세부타도 세부니까 나들 이몽 통용도 상고다 고티들 대지 시험 뜻이 준비 이시지야 뜻다시하는 나그 시작 때 잡아야 되는 팀을 머리 터지는 잡아야 되는 터고요래 감도 진짜 머리도 머리지 하자는 뭐지 들이 로아 럭톡은 초자초고 머리를 못 치해서 들이 제가 짐날 비서는 오고로와메 예르 그색강제네 바치테 감독타면 용딩이 감독딩이 머리와도 살리라 감독요 말이었어 애들 머리를 짜지 뭐냐 가래 다톡 산지에 고방 탑다봐 제대로 있어라 대외를 머리로 짜지를 못지 사지에 탑타고요 해 그때 머리를 못 해도 되게 절지는 톡을 하고 그러는데 근데 절지는 통도 상들이 오늘 되게 별이지 뭐 찍을 때 잡아야 가는 게
And so there is actually no being who does not possess wisdom, the wisdom of Manjushri, to some even small extent. Even animals, for example, possess some wisdom. There are, for example, birds are able to just fly off unobstructedly in space, or the bees can enjoy the honey of the flowers. And so all of these things can be done because of wisdom, because they possess wisdom. So in a worldly sense, everyone possesses wisdom to some extent. It is just that they're not really aware of a higher mind, like the mind generation of bodhicitta and so on, and they don't reflect on the causes and the results of their actions. But for some animals, for example, the causes are less severe, and therefore they also possess greater wisdom. So in any case, even the most subtlest of causes will lead to a result. For example, the smallest amount of love and compassion will lead to a subtle result. Everything leads to a result. Temporarily, karma is unfailing. So that is important to understand. So then it says, now that I have found a precious human body possessing all the qualities of freedom and advantage, so that is also connected to the inner Manjushri. So because of our inner Manjushri, the clear awareness in our mind, we can understand cause and effect in past and future lives. So we can reflect on karma, and we can understand that there is a cause of happiness and there is a cause of suffering. And we understand that these causes exist within the mind, just like the seed of a flower. And the seed is the seed of self-grasping. So all the afflictions are based on this basis of self-grasping. And then on the other hand, if one possesses even the slightest altruistic mind, then for example, somebody who has just a little bit of money, they will immediately think, what can I do to help someone with that money? So they will always have a wish to benefit others. So if that is the basis, then only beneficial actions will come from that basis. And so now also, how have we found this precious human body with its freedoms and advantages? So of the 6 realms of samsara, this is the precious human body is the most supreme. And we really have obtained this body through the paramitas. So for example, having practiced generosity, we now experience wealth and possessions. Having practiced patience, we now experience a long lifespan. harmonious companionships, and a beautiful appearance. And having practiced ethical discipline, we have now found the precious human body. So these three, in particular, generosity, patience, and ethical discipline, are the causes for birth in the three higher realms temporarily. So even if it is a normal samsaric activity, for example, a mother looking after her child, it still becomes a practice of the paramitas. For example, the mother will spare no expense and will spend her money on the child, and that is generosity. Then the mother will be patient no matter how difficult it gets. And then also she will be ethical with the child, and she will have diligence, striving single-pointedly for the well-being of that child. And so that is normally motivated by a concern for this life, the child's happiness in this life. So in this sense, the paramitas get a little bit lost, but it still is a beneficial activity that has a result, that will result in birth in the three higher realms. So the human birth with its freedoms and advantages comes from having practiced these paramitas. Even if we have practiced generosity, patience, and ethical discipline in our previous lives, just one time or twice, and just a few times, there will be a corresponding result. So, for example, there are many people in this world nowadays who are very wealthy, and that is the result of generosity. And there is others who have a perfect human body, a precious human body, in which they do not experience much sickness and so forth. And then there is others who have a beautiful appearance or have many friends, are not sick, do not suffer in their minds, and so on. There is many who have survived the world wars, like generals and so on, and who are still alive, who were unaffected. So all of this has a cause. On the other hand, you might have a king that is being assassinated despite all protection. This also has a cause. So the cause is most important, and the cause is within the mind. And it is with wisdom that we understand these causes, that we are able to develop trust in karma, cause and effect. And as a result of such wisdom, from lifetime to lifetime, we will again and again find a precious human body endowed with these 18 freedoms and advantages. So we have mentioned them before, so there is no need to go into these again. But we can just think about the humans and the animals coexisting. We can reflect that how much happiness do we as humans experience in comparison to the suffering that animals experience. And then there is even more suffering experienced by the beings in the hell realms or the hungry spirits. How much do they suffer? So there's many explanations on the actual suffering of the hell beings, for example. And so in this way, when we reflect in this way, we come back to karma. All of this has a cause. And where is that cause? It is within the mind. It is within the self-grasping, and all the other 6 afflictive emotions. So with wisdom we understand this, and with wisdom we develop trust in karma, and that is Manjushri. So it is really through Manjushri that we obtain a precious human body. And a precious human body is also endowed with 6 elements or 6 constituents. And that is why the human body is said to be the supreme body or vehicle to attain enlightenment. Milarepa also had said it is the precious human body endowed with the 6 elements, and it becomes the vessel, and a powerful vessel of practicing virtue and non-virtue. It is said that the gods in the god realm, they actually do not possess those 6 elements. And that is why it is said that only the precious human being is able to attain enlightenment in this very body as a human being in one lifetime. So also that must be found on the basis of causes. So when you reflect in this way with wisdom, you begin to trust in karma. And that is also therefore Manjushri's kindness.
Namda duty in the Garchen Rinpoche. The number Tapa in the number Tapa in the Mamu young rank same district Nibondi, Jelly Tapa in Bana, Neka lower with Jinker, Jenny, in the water dog, Hawaii, Union control your. Oh, these number Tapa, send number Tapa, sense of central Saturday, Sanjay by the duty by the drop carriage. Rangi Tampo Choksum, Japson Joe, Bart Zawasum, Yamsoni, Taman Driver Cosum Toba Tesa, this is the duty by the theory, the carrier, the Ramsi Sanjay, the top, the Juba Machiva, Juba Machiva, Tawan, the Sanchok Sem June, Delete, Sanchok Sem, good of Sanchok Sem June, they told them Sanchok Sem Ming, Better Kata Chapa Pamna, then Sachatam, the young to me, no, the art. Be it the separate saber now with Chapa, size he did ministry, Jim Tamsi, the water did the winter there, Garich was data of Nalasan, took some sugar, leans the Yona, the Lina Shira, we want in something, and Randuna, took just out on the Yizuna, caught on the Devil Cosum. Oh, told some Japson, Tawasum, Lamsawasum, Anselina, Devil Cosum told it. For the theater of the duty, the duty in the judging there. So,
and then it says, and have met the teachings of the flawless practice lineage. So there are also many explanations on just this term, the flawless lineage. And so flawless or completely pure means that it refers to, first of all, your own Buddha nature that is pure, fundamentally pure. So it is only temporarily obscured. And we wander in the 6 realms of samsara temporarily. But the mind is fundamentally pure. And so then, the flawless practice lineage. So the practice lineage, what does it practice? First of all, we take refuge in the 3 jewels. Then in the middle, we practice the 3 roots. And in the end, we achieve the result of the 3 kayas. And so ultimately, the practice lineage practices or accomplishes enlightenment. And this lineage is unbroken. It is really a lineage or a continuum of bodhicitta. When the relative bodhicitta arises, from that the ultimate bodhicitta will mature. For example, the other day when it rained so nicely, how clear did the environment become right away? All the plants and the trees and so on, everything lit up and was relieved from all suffering and experienced more happiness. So it was very joyful to see this rain clearing up everything. And so similarly, when we attain enlightenment, for our own sake, we achieve the royal seat of the Dharmakaya, and for the sake of others, we steer samsara from its steps. So as a result, we attain the 3 kayas. So the practice of the 3 roots results in the fruition of the 3 kayas. So that is the practice lineage.
Oh, Tamadaba, Tatam, Niga, Chava, Mataba, Legend, Tata Lodo, Nabachi, Lam, Ten, Yogi, Gongo, Tesum, Dinner in the Madashiba, the Matapati, Tower Tartapa, the studio talk the Yore. Studio talk the Jim Larry Besone. Don't tap a chick, Leluangi, don't tap a chick, shoot down Jictis or can't, Tata, Zorti, Zuru Bagina, can't the Togamari, Jictis Savannah, the Togamari, Sugar Saw, that Chapelati, Sugar Saw, the Tudu, Rapatari, the flower, Semjatan, the Sile, Meracabori, Jictis Saw, double, that's only Chegor, a couple, Carveja, go from the Chegor, Tina Tapachitty, Semity, Cheson Jan, Chish Pio, what you want to be. There is Jelatini, Mataba, you could go rich, the day Sajit on the Tomani, the date of Jim Mataba, Saket of Jet Dungages, Yangi Pasha, awesome. The Matabe, you go community, take Kangity, Matabe, you, Macron, Junka, young, should get now and should get now a shy over it. Should get the carriage. Toba, Kurva, Niba, Chapa, there be Gariori. Tama Delta Gang, take you want the Kangin, Sunam, Sunam, Togo, Tobacco, Niba, Chapa. Sancho, you think you go to hard money. Oh, tell a Gary, tell a child, that is Matoba, Makurba, Manima, Madati, that's Terish, Gangari. There is the Chada, you saw the Canada now and the Mangaris. Oh, not to watch it. Oh, be gaudy. The jet married. Sancho, we won't eat the tobacco and you butter what the Sancho, we won't eat this. Sancho, we got that in my 2 hours, Madava, Zubati, Larry, something that Yami Tamset or Larry, something that jet was over. Was a cartoon in the way, like a tape of kind of machine. They let it go out. Tea, Langi, someone, oh, should get now on to person your Oh, Mataba, Julishana, to get now on the oh, Tarano, Chuko, Mother, and you know how a little deal or shine to get now on to person your load. Mata, Jul, Mashana, to get now a shine with your head.
So then it says, please grant your blessings that the awareness of impermanence will swiftly dawn within my mind. So this is the impermanence is a teaching on practicing with diligence. If we do not practice with diligence, even if we have obtained a precious human body, if we do not practice, then it will be delayed for several lifetimes, our attainment of enlightenment. So again, with wisdom, we engage in the 4 thoughts that turn the mind. So we reflect on the preciousness or the difficulty of obtaining this precious human life, death and impermanence, karma, cause and effect, the shortcomings of samsara. And here impermanence, ultimately impermanence, inspires us to practice with diligence. Milarepa also says that so to someone who is lazy and doesn't practice with diligence, soon the signs of death will appear. And so whatever one does in the world or in a spiritual and dharmic sense, whatever you do without diligence will not really be accomplished. Even in a worldly sense, nothing is accomplished, and leave alone any dharmic activity. So the diligence is an activity that is done with the mind, and it seems something that is easier accomplished actually, because in a mundane sense, often diligence requires a lot of actual activity. Like we have to really study many years and so forth. We have to work really hard physically and so on. But now in the Dharma, we have to apply our mind to practice with diligence. And that mainly means to always sustain a mind of mindfulness and heedfulness that is always aware of impermanence. The Buddha said that compounded phenomena are impermanent. Everything defiled is suffering, and nirvana is peace. When impermanence has not truly arisen within our mind stream, then the 8 worldly concerns will manifest. So it says here, and thereby may the 8 worldly concerns collapse. So if impermanence is not in our mind, then we will develop these 8 worldly concerns. Now, of wishing to be praised, wishing to gain, wishing to be famous, and wishing to be happy. Everyone likes that. Everyone likes to be praised or experience fame and so on. But all of that also has a cause. And that is what people don't understand. That all of that actually ultimately is a cause of a result of bodhicitta, or a quality of bodhicitta, a quality of love. And not understanding that, if then their opposites happen to us, if we then run into suffering and we are blamed and we lose out and we lose our reputation and so on, then nobody likes that. And then we suffer from this loss and develop many thoughts of attachment and aversion. So when we gain these positive qualities, the problem is that we think that I gained these qualities, I deserve this, it's because of my competence, of what I did and so on. But really, it is the quality of bodhicitta. It is a cause that we have already created in the past, but we don't recognize that. And then there is much affliction when the opposites arise. And the opposites, therefore negative counterparts, are actually should be seen as a support for us to cultivate patience. As it is explained in the 37 Bodhisattva practices. Actually, the 37 practices really teach you everything about practice perfectly. And I'm reading the 37 practices like a prayer all the time. And this is really the only thing I really know. So really think about the 37 Bodhisattva practices. And so here we request blessings, and that impermanence will dawn within our mind, and thereby may the 8 worldly concerns collapse. And then when they collapse, then for one's own sake, one seizes the royal seat of the Dharmakaya, and for the sake of others, one is able to stir samsara from its depths. So if one has impermanence in mind and understands karma and does not engage in non-virtuous activity, then these 8 worldly concerns will not arise. So what we need to understand is that the 8 worldly concerns arise from these thoughts of attachment, aversion, and ignorance, or the 3 poisons. So first of all, this perception of me as self is ignorance. Then we consider ourselves as most important. And then we are happy when someone praises us. And then this joy of being praised transforms into attachment. And then on the other hand, if someone blames us, then we get angry. This dislike transforms into anger. So these 3 poisons, attachment, anger, and ignorance, are the causes of birth in the 3 lower realms, and they obscure our mind. And it becomes a great hindrance to our Dharma practice. So again, the praise in itself, being praised in itself is not the fault. The fault is being attached to the praise. And because that then may constitute an obstacle to one's Dharma practice. So then these thoughts of attachment and aversion really undermine one's Dharma practice. So that's important to understand.
Om Mani Padme Hum, 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 Om Mani Padme 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 Hum, Om Mani Padme Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Om Mani Padme Hum,
Om Mani Padme Hum.
Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme 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 Hum, Om Mani Padme Om Mani Padme Om Mani Padme Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Om Mani Padme Page 32, main sadhana. Om Sobhava Shuddha Sarva Dhamma Sobhava Shuddha Om Sobhava Shuddha Sarva Dhamma Sobhava Shuddha Om Sobhava Shuddha Sarva Dhamma Sobhava Shuddha Nama Sarva Dhamma Bhashom Bhashom Gurbe Sarvate Bhagavate Savarena Emangangana Gansova Nama Sarvata Gata Bhashom Bhashom Gurbe Sarvate Bhagavate Savarena Emangangana Gansova Nama Sarvata Bhashom Bhashom Gurbe Sarvate Bhagavate Savarena Emangangana Gansova Vandanta Amerta Gunda Hana Hana Vanda Vandanta Amerta Gundale Hana Hana Vanda Vandanta Amerta Gundale Hana Hana Vanda Nama Sarvata Danga Avalokete Om Sambara Sambara Nama Sarvata Danga Avalokete Om Sambara Sambara Nama Sarvata Danga Avalokete Om Sambara Sambara Om Jana Avaloketa Nama Samenta Saparena Rene Sambhava Sama Mahamane Dura Dura Chandaya Tolane Om Jana Avaloketa Nama Saparena Rime Sambhava Samaya Mahama Duru Duru Shendaya Dulane Ho Jana Avalo Keda Nama Samenta Saparena Rime Sambhava Sama Mahamanan Duru Duru Shendaya Dulane Ho Nama Samenta Budana Jaya Shura Trabendra Dema Samaya Sova Nama Samenta Budana Jaya Shura Trabendra Dema Samaya Sova Nama Samenta Budana Jaya Shura Trabendra Maya Sova Om Bandan Kulam Param Parasa Pare Vara Edam Balenda Kaka Kaya Kaya Om Bandan Lala Kuru Param Parasa Pare Edam Balenda Kaka Kaya Kaya Om Bandan Lala Paramba Swapare Vara Edam Balenda Kaka Kaya Om Aya Loke Shura Sapare Vara Edam Balenda Kaka Kaya Kaya Om Loke Shura Vara Edam Balenda Kaya Om Aya Loke Shura Sapare Edam Balenda Kaka Kaya Kaya Om Deva Jage Sapare Vara Edam Balenda Kaka Kaya Kaya Om Deva Jage Sapare Vara Edam Balenda Kaka Kaya Kaya Om Deva Jagana Sapareva Edam Balenda Kaka Kaya Om Dharma Bala Raksha Sapareva Edam Balenda Kaka Kaya Om Dharma Bala Raja Sapareva Edam Balenda Kaka Kaya Om Dharma Bala Raja Sapareva Edam Balenda Kaka Kaya Page 39, Dissolution. Ranye Chenrezig Sarva Toko Wazir Lukyu Tukje Khenpo Namba Uda Shana Ranye Lade Teyan Ramba Chechong De Duna Toka Yekro Lade Teyan Toka Samu Shaya Lade Teni Jang Chunyi Tapa Yensa Jatar Yana Meme Arju.
Top of page 40. Vivid in the heart of myself as Chenrezig is Shri, from which light radiates to outer phenomena and the inner beings of the great compassionate one, melting them into light which dissolves into me. Then, by stages, I become smaller and smaller and then dissolve into the 6 syllables at the heart. Then they melt into the seed syllable Hri at the heart. This then disappears into the origin of the purity of phenomena, like a rainbow, and dissolves into the non-objectified state.
Shall we blessing
Page
27?
27 in the concise sadhana of Chenrezig. From the life force hung at the heart of myself, visualized as the deity radiates light, invoking the enlightened mind of the Guru, knowledge holders, and 3 roots, they all appear like billowing clouds and bestow blessings, empowerment, and cities, and perform enlightened deeds.
We will now break for 1 hour and we will return at 1 p.m. Arizona time and continue with questions and answers.